The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Brian, you are so spoiled. Poor guy. Got to get used to the new world here and the spacious confines of the new FingerLakes1.com studios here.
Lift that camera up a little bit. You're cutting up the top of your head.
Lift this up a little bit. How's that? That better?
That's better.
All right. New FingerLakes1.com studios in the beautiful North Park building here at Academy Square. We got a giant show lined up. There was tons of Demolition Derby action. Welcome to everybody that's tuning in. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and parental figures out there that they got some enjoy a little bit of downtime on Sunday. We're going to jump right into the one that we got some quick information on, that SummerSlam show, Steuben County Summer Bash that they had. Casillas and everybody that were working on that show. That one had great attendance. Probably one of the most unique stories out of that one coming from, and I don't know if this is true, I got it from Stu Ovens, so I'm going to attribute it to him. Brandon Palmisano was at a wedding over the weekend and told his lovely wife that he was going to go home and check on the dog, at which point he went to the Demolition Derby. So she had to message home and see how the dog was doing. He said he hadn't quite made it there yet, so he knew better than to lie. But that show was a good one. They wrecked a bunch of stuff. The streak is now broken for Mark Benjamin. He did not win. I don't know if he went, to be honest.
He went
but
fishing.
I think I'd heard that he wasn't planning on making the trip. But unfortunate to see that went in nonetheless. Some good winners. Josh Bumgarner coming away with the win in the limited weld class. Andy Wolfhanger winning the Mad Dog Award there. Evan King winning the compact feature. Mike Ernst winning the compact Mad Dog Award. Tracy Young got the modified Mad Dog Award. Kyle Nichols won that one, and Nora April Sims won the mini smash for those guys. So it was a pretty good show. It was a good one. Turning our attention now to Metal Mayhem, which was another good one, and 44 cars started to feature that, and
that's insane.
and Vic Whaley came away with the win in that one. Vic joining us on the hotline. Vic, man, congratulations! Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So we kind of joked a little bit about what's it take to win Metal Mayhem the first time, let alone do it back to back.
I just got really, really lucky. I couldn't say how I did it, but I got lucky.
Take me through the feature and how that played out. You had a lot of cars on the track to contend with. It certainly wasn't a walk in the park. You were out there for a little while. Looked like the back of the car was turned inside out, and it's going to take some plates before you can run that thing again.
I took a really bad shot right off the bat
Mm-hmm.
from I think the guy was Greg Johnson out of Canada.
Uh-huh.
And when he caught me unexpected, and I thought the back of my car was done.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think I was going to pull it off. Like I said, that was early on, and at that point, I thought he really destroyed the back of my car, but everybody told me it just packed in tight.
With the rules there, things are a little bit more stock now than what they were several years ago. How much margin of error do you have in terms of taking, as you described, a bad shot? What's a bad shot do, and what's a bad shot consist of, and how damaging can that be? Do you have enough forgiving space back there?
You don't have much room for error back there. I mean, because being pretty much a bone stock back end of a car,
mm-hmm.
you kind of roll in real quick.
Right. Your car was a Lincoln, if I remember from the pictures, right?
No, my car was an Impala.
Okay. All right. Well, that apparently wasn't your car. Sorry about that. But is it tough to get those to roll stock? I mean, it doesn't strike me as a car that I remember seeing have problems per se.
Well, you could get the back of a stock Impala to roll up real good, real quick. But then you start cutting stuff away, and then that just takes away the integrity of the car.
Sure. The car having taken the bad shot in the back end, is it a case where running the bone stock rules where you've got a car now that the back is strictly for defense to begin with? Everybody seems to want to run nose out at that point. What's your concern about trying to protect that? Are you thinking arches, trying to protect the rear end, making sure nothing gets packed around the tires, or you just don't want to take another shot back there and keep your nose out there in traffic?
I didn't want to take another bad shot like that and have the car belly in front of the tires, because if it's folded up, and all the pressure is going to be in front of the rear end then, and drop the front out.
Right, and that's all sorts of trouble right there.
Hey, Vic, I seen there was a lot of keyboard warriors. The most important question I have for you is, did the bank smile at you when they cashed your check for $10,000? Because I'd have been cheering. I'd been smiling when I cashed the check for $10,000. I mean, everything went good, right? The bank cashed it just like any other day, right?
That's right. People's always going to hate people, but they can talk what they want to talk. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. End of the day, I'm still cashing that check.
Yes, you are. I also saw something. Did you have a hunk of frame or something come through and get you in the leg? Did I read that right?
Yeah, Bob Whitaker's frame on the back of his wagon come through and caught me on the leg and kind of pinned my leg in the car a little bit.
Ouch.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah. See, that's one thing I think, regardless of the build, I think you should really be able to reinforce a driver's door. I think there's just too many things that can go wrong in a Derby, and the drivers need all the protection they can. I'd like to see, you to be able to skin a door at any show. That's just my humble opinion. But I mean, it's after we've seen our buddy get his leg broke there last year on a accidental shot, I'd like to see all doors skinned, especially in something a big show like that.
You think the skin would help that though? I mean, that was a shot that was coming in from the firewall. It got in behind the tire and it came into the car, not into the door.
Yeah, because if you
skin it, it still gives you that extra resiliency.
Yeah, I would guess so. But
we talked last year about this time about how you were due and almost fate owed you this win at Metal Mayhem. Now here we are a year later, and we're talking about how you won the second one. Which one means more to you? Picking up the first one or being able to defend that title?
Being able to defend the title is probably more important right now. I knew I could do it, but the caliber of cars that was out there, I knew it was going to be hard.
It looked for a long time like Bobby Whitaker had a very good shot at winning another Metal Mayhem championship. At what point did you think that the tide was starting to turn in your favor, or were you not confident of anything until that checkered flag was flying?
Well, I wasn't confident until I got hung on him there at the end. Because Bobby, he was running good, and I was down to 3 wheels because he knocked one of my tires off. Mm-hmm. And I got extremely lucky that he kind of bellied out a little bit in the back, and then when I put a hit on him, I got stuck on him, and neither one of us could move.
The running without the wheel. Take us through that a little bit. You've been driving for a long time. You've been in all sorts of situations. Does your heart rate still pick up a little bit, and you get a little bit nervous, hold that wheel a little bit tighter when you realize that you've lost the wheel, or are you able to keep your composure enough to just sort of roll with the punches?
Well, I figured once I lost the wheel, I better keep my speed up, because if I stopped too much, I was afraid I was going to get stuck.
Right.
I didn't know exactly. I thought he broke the axle off.
Oh, okay.
And the track was extremely dry, so that helped out a bunch. And I didn't want to stop moving, because I knew as soon as I'd stop moving, I'd probably get stuck.
Now, Vic, you've already ran a few shows this year. I think this is your third show you've ran?
Yes, third one.
Now, do you think the key was letting Mr. Excitement out in the first 2 shows and, getting the fun out of your system, and then, backing it down to go out and drive smart in Metal Mayhem? I mean, was that a key? Because, the first 2 shows I read about you were definitely living up to your nicknames. I mean, maybe that played right into your hands, going out and letting Mr. Excitement out the first couple shows.
probably had something to do with it. But the most thing was I tore up a bunch of stuff the first 2 shows, and I figured I better slow down a little bit.
So what you're saying is now that you've won Metal Mayhem, you can break back even again, buying parts that you need to fix the stuff you fixed the first couple, or you broke the first couple of shows.
Exactly. I have to go out and have some more fun.
It's good.
That's awesome.
Good to strategize, right?
Yeah.
Man, the same question that I asked you before is about your excitement level inside the cockpit. Not so much in terms of nerves, but along the lines of excitement and anticipation, realizing what you're on the cusp of doing. When you knew it was getting down to the wire, when you got hung up on Bobby and nobody could move anymore, the moments leading up to that, were you same thing? Were you holding that steering wheel a little bit tighter? Was the adrenaline starting to pump a little bit more when you realized you were right on the edge of winning Mayhem for the second time?
Yeah, when the cars started dropping off, when Litcher was out, when Bobby put him out, and then when Luke got up on the wall and got hung up, I kind of realized it was close. I could wheel a car pretty good, just like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And but
No.
I mean, Bobby, he's a hell of a wheelman too.
Yes, he is.
Where does this put you now? I know you've probably got a lot of messages and comments through Facebook, text message, social media, and things along those lines. Where does this put you in Derby Icons lore?
Probably in the top 5.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good assessment.
Were you in the top 5 before you won your first one?
Close.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think you were. I think it was very close because I mean, you've had a lot of good runs in Mayhems. You just, things would always seem to hurt you right towards the end. But I mean, your name is, I mean, pretty much synonymous with Mayhem. I mean, you've had a lot of good runs out there. I mean, it just, the last couple of years, you've definitely, you've really put it together the last couple of years, and you haven't had the bad luck as much out there. So I think you were close to top 5 beforehand, but I think this definitely puts you right up there with the best of the best out there.
What where do we go from here? What's next for you?
I'm gonna run some local hometown shows, and I want to go hit some more big ones. I got some guys wanting me to go to Pennsylvania and run a team show out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I was talking to one of those guys over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yep, that's there's some intriguing propositions taking shape for 2018. It'd be good to see you make that trip. That would be neat to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I'm gonna run some local shows around here just because my kids, they like to go and everything, and all of them didn't get to go with me. But I like running. I want to have some more fun running.
Absolutely.
Well,
Now you're back even again. You might as well go out and make a little extra money, and then you get back ahead and get ready to let Mr. Excitement out again.
Yeah. I could let him eat here at home. It don't matter at home.
that I guess one of the final thoughts is given that this was supposed to be the last Metal Mayhem. We'll see what happens next year going forward. What's that mean to be the last person to win Metal Mayhem?
Well, I don't think it'll be the end of Metal Mayhem. I hope it's not, because I run from day one, and if it is, it is. But I really hope it's not.
I mean, on the heels of this win, it certainly makes you want another one.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be.
I think better than 2 is 3.
That's right.
Do I think better than 2? And the only guy that's got 3 is a guy with the last name of Santel, I believe.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good driver too.
He's a real good driver.
I don't think
You got real good equipment too.
Yes, sir.
And nobody's won 3 in a row.
Nope, never won 3 in a row, but Santel's won 3. And Vic's won 2. Yeah. I think did Bobby Whitaker win 2 in a row? Vic?
No. Butchie won 2 in a row.
Santel won 2 in a row.
Randy's got 2 wins. Randy Schwarzkopf.
Yep.
And Bobby's got 2 wins.
Yep.
Some good company.
Yeah, that's pretty good company right there. Pretty good company.
Before we let you go, was there anybody that you wanted to make mention of to help make sure that the car got out there to put you in position to win this thing?
I had 3 guys there help me.
Yeah?
Joe Flick, he actually helped me. He hauled my cars up there for me. Mm-hmm. And then Chris Dieters, he just a guy that started coming around, hanging out a little bit here and there. And he come up, he helped me work on the car. And Josh Sessler, he helped me.
Very cool. Well, man, again, appreciate you coming on the show, making some time for us. Congratulations on the win, and keep us posted how things are going. We'll be watching Facebook for updates.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy,
Thanks, Vic. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
There goes Vic Whaley, 2-time winner now of Metal Mayhem, keeping some pretty elite company, and it's been a hard one to win. I mean, the history of Metal Mayhem dates back to 2002. You know, when I think it was P&P Promotions had it from 02 to 07 or 08 something. It was a little while, I think, if I remember correctly. I probably should have looked that up.
Tory will tell us.
Tory will tell us. But yeah, it was a awesome feature. Awesome feature. Good for him, and you know, I think he was holding back a little bit in terms of his own ranking. But when you look at the people who've been able to repeat as winners, that show it's a who's who of Demolition Derby. You know, regardless of promoter, regardless of show, it was very much a who's who.
Absolutely.
Adding some information on this one, Chaos in the Valley coming up. It's going to be a show that we're looking forward to getting to on the 21st of October. Chaos in the Valley, we're going to be back down there in the Shenandoah Valley with Jason and Penny Shipe in the Tomsbrook Valley Volunteer Fire Department. Show, it's awesome. They have a huge new arena that they just built last year. It is gigantic. And they did a little bit of changing on the rules now. The Weld class now allows Imperials and hearses.
Wow.
That's right, the Weld class. Do whatever you want to them, more or less. You got to jump online. You can find the rules on We Crash. They've got a thread started on there. Also, jump on Tomsbrook Volunteer Fire Department. These same rules will be in place for the Shenandoah County Fair, which is going to be held in August. They've moved that back a couple days, so that'll be cool. Justin Smith is doing a Power Wheels Derby on the 26th, which is right in that same time frame. Find the details on that for Justin Smith. He's doing that. You can contact Justin at 540-435-8252, but more focused on this one. 540-335-7510 is the phone number for Jason Shipe at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds in Woodstock, Virginia. Chaos in the Valley, they had their spring show. Now we're waiting on the fall one to come around. Always a great show. The compacts are some of the best compacts that you're going to watch in the country. They drive all of their W bodies like they're Imperials, wide open. Nothing on the track lasts much more than 6 minutes. It's right in the same vein as Wheel Days. There's a bunch of heats, and they run features, and what comes out for the features is hard. We've seen Jason Koch run well down there. We've seen Mike Klinger run well down there. Josh Wetmore's run well down there. David Klein, he's run well down there. Mark Wolf, Billy Orndorff, some of the top names in that region. They can easily defend home turf. And that one, Spinning Wheels Productions, we got to update their schedule because they have one that's in the books. We're going to be turning our attention to that here in just a few minutes. Spinning Wheels Productions has the Otsego County Fair coming up next. Jump online for details, spinningwheelsproductions.com. August 3rd and 6th, the Otsego County Fairgrounds in Morris, New York. Wayne County Fair is August the 4th in Honesdale. The 25th is the GDS Fair at the GDS Fairgrounds in Newfoundland, Pennsylvania. The season rounds out with the San Filippo Smash at Otsego County Fairgrounds in Morris, New York. Ryan Deal raffled off a flower that he'd made out of car parts. And he took all the proceeds that he made off of that and donated it back to Team Mia and Team Martin, split it even. Cool. So that was very cool to see. Martin was there hanging out on the stage. They kept him in the car for a little while because it was so hot and just tried to keep him cooled off. But it was good. He seemed to enjoy it, and it was an awesome show. We'll be getting into that with Matt Junky Wetzel a little bit later on. Upcoming events for Stern Dirt Racing online, sterndirtracing.com. July 28th to 29th is the Wasatch Wipeout in Heber City. It's a 2-day event, $84,000 purse for that one. There's only a couple spots left. No, a couple spots left for this one, too. West Jordan Beatdown in West Jordan, Utah. Iron Trucks, Farm Trucks, Passenger Derby, $30,000 to win at that one, the September 16th Day of Reckoning. That's the all-new Utah State Fair venue in Salt Lake City. And then the season rounds out with another trip out there for us with Halloween Havoc, Run What You Brung, and a pit party on the 7th of October against SternDirtRacing.com. You can get all the details for that one. And rounding out this segment of ads, Midwest Smash Fest is coming up on July 15th, 2017 in Geneva, Nebraska. Fresh cars only, two-man teams, $125,000. And the heats are going to be time limited. So if you don't finish it, you're going to go through the consies. So, I mean, there is incentive to drive hard, and there is money to be won. And that one, $20,000 for the first place team. It means each driver gets a share of $10,000 unless you don't want to split with your partner. And then $15,000 for the second place team, $13,000 for third, 11 and 10 from fourth and fifth. Chad Bumgarner's in charge of that one. 402-759-2583. Jump on MidwestSmashFest.com and you can get all the details for that one. So moving on to our next guest, I got to get Tory Schutte on the phone. And we'll, like I said, we'll be catching up with Matt Wetzel here in a little bit. He's in Utah right now, and he is stoked. He's also working today, by the way. I called the number, and I got the trucking company.
That's terrific.
So that was.
So how was it having just one job at the Derby, not having to,
Turned out we had a couple. It was different. It was almost unsettling. I didn't have enough to do. It was almost weird. We'll get into that here in a little bit.
Did you get the urge to jump in a truck and go for a ride?
No one offered that, and I didn't ask.
Good idea.
Was. Hey, Tory? Hey, man, let me put you in real quick. And we've got the one and only Tory Schutte joining us online. Tory, man, how are you?
Good, guys. How's it going tonight?
Not bad.
Going just fine, man. Congratulations on another awesome show. Vic Whaley coming away with the win in that one. 44 cars on the track for the main event, and looked like just about everything came off the track was bent and twisted every which way. How rewarding was it as a promoter's perspective?
Oh, I thought it was an absolute great show. You got all your haters, and that's going to happen in life. But I tell you what, the Icons laid it down. They finished their heats in time, and the one guys that didn't, we didn't take them to the feature. But all the rest of the heats, I think, went off at about 15 to 18 minutes. We had one other heat that went to right on the 29-minute mark, and a guy burned his tranny up at the end, and we were able to advance those guys out. But other than that, we didn't really have any problems with anybody in the heats. Had great actions, bent a lot of stuff, pulled a lot of heavy hitters out of the heats, took them right to the feature, and I think that really got a lot of people. I mean, like a guy like Brian Basile made a decision, hey, look, the only way I'm getting out of this heat with all these guys is going for it, And he went for it, got his car, made the feature, and that's all that mattered to him. So it was great to reward guys like him and other guys like Clinton Bozarth. There we go. Get that one mixed up once in a while. Another guy came out there in a Hot Wheels car and just tore it up, knowing that's what he was there for. So if you went for it right away, we would give you the heavy hitter. If you came out early and you were, messing around a little too much, we wouldn't give it to you. The couple people that come to mind is like Bob Whitaker. He came out and was putzing around in the beginning and finally said, we got to get some work done, and started hitting. Probably could have earned a heavy hitter, but we didn't take him, Curdy Poff, another guy that did a hell of a job, put on a hell of a show. But he even admitted to me that night, he was screwing around a little bit. So we didn't take those guys. The guys that really hit it hard right away, we took them, and it really made for a great show.
That seems to be a trend that's picking up, rewarding those guys that are running hard in the heat and giving them those feature spots. And if you don't earn it, you don't get it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I definitely like that idea. I've seen, Tory does it. We saw Tim and Russ do it at Bash for Cash. And I think it's really good. I mean, because, like Tory says, they're stopping them early. So, if the guys are putting on the show from the word go, 3, 4, 5 minutes, however long you do it, and then, you get stopped, and then you got car left and you can fix, and, hopefully they continue on in the feature to put on the show.
Yeah, like Clinton, he had an entire front end he hardly even used. He just used up the whole back end, said, good, now I got the front end for the feature. Unfortunately, he didn't turn around quick enough in the feature. That I think is what took him out. But that's how she goes,
Absolutely.
So.
Now, are you stepping away completely from promoting Tory, or are you just not doing the big shows?
All right, here's what I'm going to answer this question. And I want everybody to understand. I'm not going anywhere. I love Demolition Derby more than anybody else in the world. I'm not getting away from it. I'm getting away from the stressful part of it and the part that really honestly causes me and my wife the most fights and
just, it's not worth it anymore. I've been self-funding Derby Icons and sometimes having to pull money out of my own pocket, and it caused a lot of strife at home. And, and at the end of the day, I don't really need it financially wise, and I think it's time for the next guy to take over. I got Derby Icons given to me out of a trash can. Charlie threw it away. I polished the dirt, and I made something out of it.
That's an interesting way to describe it.
Yeah. And that's the truth of it. And early on, Scott Gropp was helping me out, and he did great things, and he moved on and did his thing. And Dave Gard helped me, and he did great things, and he moved on and did his thing, and I think it's time for me to move on. Before the sport gets the best of me and it starts to become something that I dread and hate, and I never want the sport that I love to become something that I despise or that it causes risk with me and my wife. So I think it's just time. It's a good time in my life. I'm ready to hand it on. I have all the faith and confidence in Toast. I've worked with this guy since my first day with Derby Icons, and he's been there with me, for me, and supported me the whole way. And I just think it's the perfect guy to take over the reins at this point. And let me finish that. I will not just leave him in a van and walk away. There's a couple-year process where we're going to, work him and his wife and his crew into taking over and doing what they do and helping us out. So I'll be there. I'll just take on more of a consulting role and let somebody else have all the headache and the stress and order the porta pots.
You answered that question before I had a chance to ask it, so I'm going to jump right into the next one with it. Then, is Metal Mayhem still going to be the same under Toast? I know that's probably a more fair question to ask Toast, but we've got you on the phone. Given that you're standing by him as a consultant, where is Metal Mayhem going to be? What's going to happen with that?
I think it's the most amazing event that draws in the best drivers from the entire nation. I don't think there's another show that truly draws from a widest spectrum as we do. And I still think it's the premier show to win in the driver's eyes, and we'd like to keep it that way. So Toast is going to gather a bunch of information, and I don't want to speak for him because he really should be the guy talking about this. Yep. He said he's going to gather a lot of information from the drivers and decide what next year brings. I know he's a well guy. There's a lot of people screaming for that back. So I don't know which way he'll go. I think the FS class is an amazing class that I call it the sledgehammer with pop cans taped to the end,
Right.
Yep. So swing this and bend both ends up. I think a Dusty Gilchrist's car probably looked the most like that at Mayhem. But it's a great class, and I'm sure you'll continue that. Bone stock's not going away. People love the pureness of that class. So anything's open, anything's possible, and that'll be for Toast to decide.
In terms of where the sport's going, is it predictable anymore? We've seen these ebbs and flows that have happened the last couple of years with new technologies that come in, and you see everybody wants to start using protectors, and then everything gets too expensive and it starts to downturn. And now it seems almost early for that to start trending back to the request for the weld stuff in one way, shape, or form. Is the sport predictable anymore?
No, it's completely unpredictable. I think that I don't think it's ever going to go all the way back the other way. Yeah. I think there's definitely a place for those wild cars. And this is just Tory Schutte speaking here. I don't think there's any place for them in an individual competition.
Given that you're going to have a little bit more free time, are we going to see you showing up at more shows and just enjoying the sport again?
Yes, for sure. But back to what I want to finish that point though. The wild cars just don't have a spot at individual shows anymore because you can't sit there for 3 hours waiting for those things to bend. You got to put it back on the drivers and who can bend cars up quick and that type of stuff for an individual sport. But for team sports, they're amazing. They're awesome. They're what draws everybody there. They're why Spring Explosion feature was only an hour long this year because they kick ass even in the mud and rain and everything else. So, there's a great place for them. I don't think they do very well indoors. I think there's too hard to compact the track indoors like Mother Nature does. So I don't think they have a real good spot indoors. That's why I brought light cars down to Bluegrass Bash for one of the best shows we've ever promoted, But I think that's where the sport's going. My big opinion about the sport is that there's a lot of people trying to do what I do. And that's fine. That's just business. But when you do that, it's gotten to the point now where I don't want to say watered down. I just want to say spread out. And it's hard for one promoter to make a big move in one direction. The $20,000 Metal Mayhem bone stock, okay, now here's 150 cars. That's great. And then it trends right back. And now you seem to have a lot of fractions of promoters and their crews all over. And I think some great things happened this weekend that I'd like to tell you about, too. But I think it just spread everybody so thin, and you got a lot of fractions. It's hard for a guy like me to put together a big show, without sticking your neck so far out, you go bankrupt.
Right.
You lose $30,000 on a show, it's not being fun real quick,
Right.
So that's where it's kind of tough right now. And, there's going to be a ebb and tide in promoters, and the people that don't really love the sport, they're going to come in and try to make some money. If they don't, they're leaving. But it's going to take a while for that to work itself out. And I want to tell you guys, the best thing that happened all weekend long was me and Tim Clark just sitting down. I'll tell you, I beat him up. The whole time about one thing: standardized rules. Mm-hmm. Standardized rules. And his crew, if nobody noticed, his crew worked with my crew this weekend, and we had the first inklings of some type of national inspection team. Mm-hmm. Patty Clark, Jeff Clark, awesome guy. Billy out there helping us, too, from his team, awesome guy. And these guys are his loyal guys, and they sat down. After we beat up Tim for a while, we said, look, we're going to take it over and do what we want with it, Tim. And Toast and Jeff and Billy all went and talked about rules and decided where we can meet and where we don't. And I'm not an Eagles guy. I'm walking away. I'll run Tim's rules. I don't care. Whatever works and whatever the drivers are convinced of. But if me and Tim can do that, and Toast now can do that with him, the rest of the world's going to follow suit, or at least everything from Ohio to Kansas, me in between.
Sure.
And I think that was the best thing that happened this weekend, to be honest with you.
That's cool.
That's
I've been trying to do it since I got into the sport. That's why I started Wheat Crash.
Right. It's true.
I think we made huge strides this weekend. It just be a matter of maybe the biggest ego in the sport to step aside and let it happen.
That would be interesting to see. I mean, right now I know there's a lot of people probably watching at home that are skeptical, but it's been a conversation that continues to come back to the forefront, is trying to get those rules unified in some way, shape, or form so that you can run more shows more readily without having to make those tweaky changes can change how the car bends, which means that you have to go through and redo a bunch of little things, and that's all time. And once the car's built, you don't want to undo what you've already done.
You literally have one choice. You can start off bone stock in the beginning of the year and then plate it and then kicker it, and then, otherwise you have to throw them away. And so many people take cars all the way back home and go, what the hell else can I run them? I don't want 7 more hours to come back for Tory's County Fair. So there needs to be a solution there. And my moving forward will be, I'm going to help consult for Derby Icons. I'm going to help consult for Vicky Faust and Jason Cox and help anybody I can. Sure. As long as they're running standardized rules. I'll go Facebook Live 20 times all weekend long and pump the hell out of your show all I can, as long as you have standardized rules. I'm going to be hard and fast on it. My time's very precious. I'm not going to waste my time with people that are not going to do what's best for the sport.
You alluded to walking away from the big shows. What's that mean for some of the interactions with you and NDDA and some of the indoor shows? Is that going to continue?
Same thing. The same thing I talked about before. I'll do some type of consulting. We had a great show down there. One of the most amazing shows. I really like Craig and Holly Bowling and NDA and John Peck and all those guys. They got a good thing going. I'm hoping to assist them. It was not a financially lucrative show for me, I'll be honest with you. We needed more people to see the best event I ever put on. But we had a great show, great time, met some great people. Casey down there, their track guy, a ton of other people. But, there's good things going forward there, I'll tell you that. I got nothing bad to say. We put on a great show. We showed them how to, pack the arena, and so we'll just we'll move forward there. Standardized rules. That's I'm gonna tell you the same thing I'm gonna tell them. You want me to come back down and help? You want me to come back down and promote? You want me to come back down and do anything? Standardized rules. Easy enough.
Interesting.
I don't care if they're their rules.
I think standardized rules are a good idea. But I think the problem that you would run into is that unless, like for the bigger shows, like a Mayhem, Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, stuff at that level, if you had the same group teching for all the shows, then I think that would help a ton. But the problem that I would see would be like when for instance, let's say one of Tim Clark's small county fair shows. They don't have, when it's spread out and they have to bring somebody else in or however they do it, that guy might not rule or read that rule the same as somebody who is promoting
it's all interpretation.
DI show.
Make sure it was all interpretation.
Not everybody interprets the things the same way, so somebody could build something.
Enforcement's always an issue, but I would say to that, not to cut you off, but to say that you just got to start with the big shows.
Yeah, I agree.
Get a mixed pollination of our crews. We had 2 Smash It guys down there, amazing inspectors, badass. Mike Decker came out and helped us this week. You don't want to forget him, another Ohio guy. And those guys are awesome. And you get those 3 guys or Toast. Yep. It just takes a little bit of money, and the big name promoters, they can afford to throw a couple, a little joint out there to bring in the guys that they need to do the job.
Absolutely.
So if we can get some type of national inspection team, and then the guys that are going to be doing those other shows maybe help out.
Yep.
See how they're interpreted, and then we can filter down from there. I can't fix the world all at once, but we can start at the top of the pyramid and filter this down every way we can.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Tell me what won't work. Don't tell me what won't work, because it didn't work at one little county fair here. That's not a reason to throw it all away. It's the best idea Demolition Derby's ever had.
Yep.
And you just can't get anybody to do it.
That's what I was kind of getting at, was that I'd like to see 2 or 3 guys that work for DI and 2 or 3 guys that work for Smash It, 2 or 3 guys that work for another large promotion company, get together and sit down and say, okay, look at kind of come up with the rules and how they would interpret it and stuff like that. And then to do the teching at the big, the big shows. But I mean, you would have to do them from, Ohio, obviously, maybe Ohio all the way to Utah. So, you cover most of the country, and everybody kind of sees, what the build is and what's going to be accepted. So then everybody kind of gets on the same page. Because like you say, Tory, I think once everybody gets on the same page at the top and it starts filtering down, I mean, I would see nothing but good things. But I definitely think that, like you said, start with the biggest shows and then, get something worked out for that. And then, have it, hopefully it'll start, coming down to the lower, the less prestigious shows, like, your county fairs and, the real grassroots. And eventually it's going to get down to there. But I definitely think that that's a good idea. I mean, that's, the most successful motorsports, that's what they have.
Toast has worked the bash for them. They came work for us.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, we can start there. And you got Skinny going out to Utah, working out there. There's plenty of guys going nationwide that we could figure it out.
Yeah, once you get a core group of guys that are equal on interpretation, you get a couple
in the sport. We could figure it out. That's no problem.
No doubt.
Definitely. Well, Tory, man, congratulations on another successful show. Is there anybody that you want to make mention of that helped make this show possible?
God, that list is long, and I just thank everybody that helped me out. Of course, let me tell my partner Toast, man, and all the guys in inspection, huge all day. My wife at the gate staff, Craig Lemminger and Adam, and the entire Craig's Concrete crew, amazing job. I mean, they didn't have near the crap to deal with that they did at Spring Explosion, but the grounds looks great. They went back and helped me out and fixed that up, and so those guys are amazing. And the list goes on and on, like I said, man. Let me. While I got you on here and anybody's listening, I want to cover the controversy that happened with Dave Myers. I'll just put it out there and tell you my side of the story so everybody can hear it. I can't watch the entire track, especially when there's 20 guys still running. And I didn't see what happened with Victor and Dave Myers on the other side. According to Dave, he said he had Victor pinned in a similar situation. And then I talked to Victor, and he said, no, there was a two-door that was still a live car, which was a 102 car. He said he was blocking them in, and Dave was pounding them in, but the officials, according to Dave, said to stop hitting Victor. Now, I talked to every official on the side of the track, and I said, did you guys tell anybody not to hit somebody? And they said, no, the only thing we ever say is to hit harder and hit more. So if there was a stop and somebody came over to Dave's car and told him to quit hitting Victor, I find it hard to believe. But I think over the roar of the engine or whatever else, there might have been a communication thing, and they're yelling hit and don't hit. And why they would tell anybody not to hit somebody is beyond my comprehension as an inspector, or as an official. But he said that happened, so I'll just take Dave's word. And so he was pissed that when Victor had him in a similar situation on my side of the track, that he was counted out. And what happened was he was sitting right in front of our inspector booth, and we started timing him because Victor had him sideways, and he couldn't hit another car. He was in between two dead cars, and Victor had him sideways, and every time he started squirreling out, Victor would square him up. And we watched it for 2 minutes, tapping our wrist as we're counting Dave down, and he had no sense of urgency whatsoever. He wasn't trying to get out of there. He wasn't revving his motor, nothing. The second we said, hey, you're timed out, break it off, all of a sudden, revs up his motor as Victor pulls away, and we saw Victor quit hitting him. He's done. Victor pulls away. Now he revs up his motor and got out of there and lickety split. I don't want to say how long, but he was out instantly and came down there and driver-doored the hell out of Victor. So if we were ever going to give him a little more clock after he driver-doored Victor, he made the decision really easy for us. And I watched what happened in front of me. He didn't hit another live car in 2 minutes. Now, our rules say you must hit an action automobile every minute. Well, he went 2 minutes because we were going to give him time. You know, I'm not trying to screw anybody out of the Metal Mayhem feature. But I watched him for 2 minutes not hit another car. Getting hit is not hitting. And we timed him out. Now, what happened on the other side of the track, I talked to every official, and nobody told him not to hit Victor. We got on Dave quite a bit about hitting. And the one thing that pissed me off is people said that I play politics and I play favorites. You know what? I don't give a shit who I write that check to. I never have and I never will. Dave Myers won $10,000 and took first place at the first event he ran with me this year. He won again and got third place at Spring Explosion, and he got sixth place here. Does that sound like a guy I'm trying to screw over? You know, so I'm going to put that out in the air. That's how it went down. I got nothing but huge respect for Dave Meyer. He's an amazing driver. What he did down there in Louisville was badass. Gave him a hug after the show. You know, I'm like, thank you. You just made me pretty famous. You know, I love the guy. And his performance at Spring Explosion with guys beating on every side of his car was amazing. I got nothing against the guy, but when you're sitting there and you're not making a live hit on anybody, I'm going to tag you out. I did it to Wade Brown down at Nacogdoches when Bob Whitaker had him in the exact same scenario. You know? Now, I don't know about the other officials on the other side of the track, and I don't know what they were telling them or what happened over there. I didn't see that part. I just took my officials' words from it.
Right.
So that's the big controversy of the show, and I'll just tell you that's what I did. But
well, thanks for...
take that for whatever it's worth. That's my side. People can beat me up on the internet, yell and scream at me. I really don't care. I'll go back to what I yelled at somebody at the Derby, and you know who it was? A little kid in Power Wheels. And I told him, there's no crying in Derby. We got enough of those in this sport. So go see her before I give you a trophy, and the little kid did.
Nice.
That's it.
Good deal. Well, thanks for putting that out there and addressing that. And above all else, I hope Derby gets to be fun again. Take some of the stress off, enjoy it, and I look forward to catching up with you here. I'm sure our paths are going to cross here as the rest of 2017 plays out, Tory.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you guys and everything you do for the sport, all your podcasts and live broadcasts and everything else. You guys are awesome. Appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, one other thing before I get off the air.
Go for it.
How about the Future Icons? 5-minute heat, took every single one of the feature. I'll never have a regret of that again. I want to give a big shout-out to the Future Icons of the sport. Ryan Schaffner taking home the 11th place and the Future Icon 12th place going to James Conkendale. And Terry Timmons is kicking butt out there. All the other Schaffner, Luke, and just all the Future Icons across the board. Just did a Ted Dahlia. All of them did just a killer job. I can't thank every one of them enough. I know I missed a bunch of their names, but thank you to the Future Icons. What a show you put on. Highlight of Friday night. Probably the best heat I've ever seen in my life.
Awesome. Sounds good. The Derby Icon, Future Icons, putting on a great show. Tory, man, again, appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a
See
good
you
one.
later. There goes Tory Schutte. We're going to be catching up with Matt Wetzel here in just a quick minute, but we got to do some spots for Smash It first. I'm going to get this stuff done. Upcoming events for Smash It Demolition Derbies. You can jump online if you want more information on the shows, smashitderby.com. June 24th, Stark County and Canton, Ohio, Smash It Leaf Class Mini Cars, full-size and compact trucks, street stocks, and Power Wheels. July the 1st is Pike County Fair in Piketon, Ohio. 5 o'clock start at that one. Smash It Class Mini, street stocks, Smash It Mowers, and Power Wheels. June 13th is Boyd County. That's in Kentucky. Smash It Class Compact, street stocks, lawn mowers. They're stock there, not the dumpsters on wheels. Power Wheels, also part of that one. Then July 15th is part of their triple header. Madison County and London, Ohio is going to have the 80s Wire, the Smash It Class, the Mini Cars, street stocks, and the Power Wheels. Montgomery County and Dayton, Ohio will have the Smash It Class, the street stock, compact, Smash It Mowers, which are the dumpsters on wheels, and the Power Wheels. And then we've got Blizzard Bash waiting on the backside of all that with Smash It November 8th through the 12th. Thursday, November the 9th is National and Team Qualifying Rounds number 1. Friday the 10th, 9 o'clock is the RC Derby. And then National and Qualifying Team Round 2, 14 to 17 youth class also on the card. Saturday the 11th is the Compact Limited Weld Team opening rounds for them. And then 6 o'clock is the big show. Power Wheels, all the Team B mains, trucks, youth, bone stock on the card. And then Championship Sunday, National Qualifying Limited Weld and Compact A mains, the order of the day there. So that's giving you the rundown of all of that stuff. I've got to get...
You missed one victory this weekend. Ty at Siopa picking up the win at New Alex.
I didn't even catch that.
Yep, Todd won at New Alex. And I think it was Cancer Awareness Night, which is pretty cool.
I would suppose that's meaningful, right?
Yep. So I texted him. I saw it. I think Joey Pernice might have been second or third. So I text Todd, told him congratulations, and
very cool. I didn't realize that.
It felt good to be back out there and back smashing stuff. And
interesting points on the unified rules.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, can I put you in? It's Chris. Can I put you in? This is Chris. Can I put you in? And we've got Matt on the line. I want to start before we bring Matt on officially and read a statement that was just sent to me. This was written by Joe Johnson, and I believe it was sent to Dan Bolton. And he said, my wife and I and my son, Shay, want to thank you for introducing us to Paul and Michelle and Matt. They're awesome people. And so are you with what you're doing and what you did by inviting them to New York. My son got to meet his idols. And as a parent, you only wish you can make your kid's dream come true. I do big time and hope someday I can do the same for your little girl. Thanks again, Dano. You're the man. So some kind words, and I'm wondering what Matt Wetzel's take is on that. You got kids that are looking at you and Paul as idols from all across the United States. You guys are heroes to kids. It's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of a shock. It came kind of sudden for me. So I was coming along as a third wheel out there originally.
But then somebody said, "Hey, run a truck, and you can't turn that down."
No. I mean, when Dano and Gully came out for May Mania, they actually stopped on their way heading up to Paul's because Paul was at my shop helping me thrash on my truck to get it ready, and that's when we've been there together a couple hours. And Gully said, "Hey, if I've got anything left, you're welcome to run my truck." That's pretty dang amazing to offer your truck to somebody that you only met an hour ago.
Right. Take us through that. First we'll jump through the winners out there. Justin Schaefer coming away with the win in a very hard fought compact feature round. There was 22 cars scheduled to go off for that, and there was 18 that made the track. And Justin Schaefer won that. Matt Wetzel, Junky, won the truck feature. Zach Murphy won the limited weld feature. Mad Dog Award went to Chad Winnie, and the Imperial definitely earned that. And Delbert Dewey came away with a win in the light trucks. That was there was only about 4 trucks out there, and they were wasting stuff. Delbert had things and looked like he had things well in hand, and then he ended up getting a nose-to-nose shot with one of the other trucks out there, and it cleared his bumper. And then when that guy turned it around, the bed of his truck stayed straight. The floor stayed straight, and it never moved. So when Delbert was running into the back of him, the bumper was clear and going right into the core support. So he ended up hitting, the edge of the floor was going right against the block, But sure enough, he came away with the win in that one. There was some junk made. Zach Murphy, he got hung on the wall after he hit Chad Winnie. Winnie ended up getting hung on the wall, and that's how it ended. So last hit went to Murphy. Paul Cox, left front wheel ended up coming off his. He was a little bit deeper in the order, but Junky with the Tahoe was able to do some damage. He had to junky-ize it. He said he spent a little bit of time junkying it up and making sure that he was accustomed to it. But the biggest challenge, I think, that you said that you were put through was the first 30 seconds of learning everything there was to know, and the shift pattern was reversed of what you're used to.
Yeah, that's true. The shifter threw me off. So when I had steering, I was putting it in the wrong gear, And then once the steering went away, I was able to focus only on shifting. I was able to get it figured out. But
That's awesome.
And this was the first time you've ever run anything that new, right?
I didn't catch that.
This was the first time you've ever run anything that new, if I remember what we were talking about.
Absolutely. That was, getting ready for this show was different. I didn't get the nerves that I usually get, and but I was very aware that I had a whole bunch of new things that were going to happen. I better get on top of them quick.
So what was the pace like in that compared to what you're used to out there in Utah?
It's very different, but in this way. Typically in Utah, you'll see a hit that's coming for you a ways out, and you'll brace for it. It'll be one hit, they'll drive through you, and then you can clear away from it and try to get lined up for the next one, or get ready for the next one that's coming to you. This one, it was just like popcorn popping. I didn't know who was hitting me. I didn't know what side it was coming from, and very, very different. In fact, I was really surprised at the pace it felt like, because I went in with some preconceived notions, and they pretty much got knocked right out of me the second the flags dropped. I was scrambling.
How sore were you afterwards? If you're not bracing for the shots, were you able to stay more relaxed in the car and go with the impacts, or were you surprised and get bounced around a little bit more?
I got sore, like, just in my arms, and I think at one point, because the stock column was still in there, and I think at one point the key got turned off, and I put a little more on the steering wheel to break it loose than I should have, and that's really the only place I'm sore from that. I don't know how it happened, but I've never been sore in my arms like this since I got power steering in my own truck.
That's awesome.
Josh had an electrical problem in his truck, and the front seat caught on fire.
Awesome.
And when he went to kill it, it continued to short out, so he went to pull the battery terminal off, and when he did, I guess the post basically came with it. Everything had melted right to pieces in the battery behind him, so that was a little bit of a challenge.
Dakota?
No, he finished up the F-250.
Oh, okay.
That was the F-250, like what he drove out with Corey Mittlitter from Derbies of the Dakotas when he was out in Mandan.
Gotcha.
And he was doing some damage with it. Matt, what was it like running on the track itself? As you said, you didn't know where the hits were coming from, but they're also coming from people that you don't know. You basically had an entire field full of trucks that you could hit anybody that you wanted to. Did you go through and try and get as many colors of paint on that truck as possible?
I couldn't see him. That's another difference. I see more of the Derby happening from the arena in the Utah-style track, because you're passing and mixing and you're circling. In this, I never saw Paul the entire time. I had 4 or 5 trucks between me and him pretty much the whole show, and I really didn't have time to look for him. I was just dealing with what was right there in front of me, so that was different.
I could see how that would happen, because at Utah they're huge giant rings. We might have tracks that are really long, and we might have some tracks that are kind of wide, but we don't have the wide open space like they do out there in their shows. So I can understand what he's talking about. It's definitely, from the driver's perspective, I think I can understand what he's saying. Everything's kind of spread out more in Utah, and like I said, we have some wide tracks, and Morris isn't really skinny, but it's it's not obviously not as wide. But the overall area that's covered for a Utah track is just so much bigger that I can understand how he'd be more used to seeing guys.
Let me clarify though. I've never gone into a show hunting anybody down. Mm-hmm. It's always been whatever's a good clean shot in front of me. Right. I don't care who it is. If I can take a clean shot, I'll take it. And this was no different, except for it was happening every 3 seconds instead of every 20 seconds.
Well, they're definitely pretty active.
The warning went out on the stage to everybody that was around the perimeter of the track. They had to move because the trucks were so tall and they were so fast, and there were so many of them that they had to basically clear out, make sure that it was only essential personnel next to the track because they didn't want anybody to get hurt either from a truck clearing the wall or from flying dirt, stones, rocks, debris, what have you. 16. 16. It was loud. It was fast. It was so fast. The economy V8 feature was good too. Brett really ended up winning in that one, and I liked how it ended. The young man in the corner, and I don't have his name handy, unfortunately. He was trying to refire, and Brett had backed up a long way and had a clear track, and drove 3/4 of the track down there just wide open, and kid broke a stick and Brett laid off. I don't know if it was intimidation or time, what it was, but it was kind of cool to watch. And Brett was very busy. There was a Punisher Cordoba. Justin Smith, I think, was who had that, and or Justin Stevens. And it was a well-built car, and those two they were in a dogfight for a while. They just kind of sequestered themselves in the corner, and then once it whittled down, there was a lot more track to use, and Brett did. Brett used it and came with a win in that one. What was coming back to you guys, you had that meet and greet on the front stretch for an hour leading up to the show. What was that experience like, where you had people from all over Central New York coming up and knowing who you were and saying hi and collecting autographs?
Well, we've had that happen before after the shows, but we've never had it organized like that. And I guess it was Josh Decker that's been putting all the work into this to make stuff like this happen, and it was good for the fans. It was good for the kids. At that point, I know the signs have got Paul Cox's name on, and Junky were there, but it's the kids. That's who's benefiting from this.
Sure, absolutely. It was very cool to see. The turnout was strong. You guys gave out a ton of those hero cards, and you were talking about your arms being sore. I was surprised that your hand didn't start to cramp up a little bit from signing so many autographs.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Did they run Power Wheels also?
Yeah, they ran a Power Wheels.
How was the turnout for that?
There was a lot. Good. There was a lot. I tried to count. It was at least 20. There was a grave digger there. There was a fire truck there. The staples. Plenty of Jeep Wranglers. Cool. There was a little girl in a Barbie Jeep who was just blistering stuff. And then
should be the next Clinger's Tiffany Hahn.
Yeah.
Should be the next Tiffany Hahn.
Could be, and Dano's daughter was there, and she was running pretty good.
Now, was her truck pristine like her dad's, or?
Yeah, it had a coat of turtle wax on it.
Hard to believe.
Yep, it was wax. It was clean, and fittingly, it had a for sale sign on the fender.
Our buddy Dano.
But Dano said he was listening, and the Facebook window that he's sitting in right now just started giving a little wavy thing. So apparently, he's writing a response.
That's awesome.
But
great.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that Jeremy would have a good turnout, and it sounded like everything went great down there, and everybody's come away happy from the show. And like we said a million times, you got to support the promoters that support the drivers. Obviously, things have started to turn around in Morris, so hopefully guys continue coming back, and it's great they had such great support, and an overall great day.
Well, it was good to see. There was a lot of cars with 77 and 33 on them still too. There was a lot of support for Jeff Dixon and for Rick Engelhart down there.
That's pretty close to Rick's area.
That was the last show that he drove. Was the Spring Fling. That was the last derby that he drove. Sure enough. Yeah.
Did Sherman run down there, or was he just watching?
No. Eric Mears drove his car.
Oh, okay.
Eric Mears drove his car to second place in the compact feature. Had to go through the consi though. Had something happen. I don't remember what. I know Jake told me we were down there on the stage. There's a lot of information passing through that stage. It was very, very busy up there. But there's a lot of cars. The show started at 1. They ran 4 heats of qualifying for the compacts, taking 5 each, plus the consi, plus the light trucks, plus the heavy trucks, plus the limited weld, plus the economy V8 and the compact feature, and they were done by 4:30.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
they kept it moving.
They did a great job.
A group of guys clearing the tracks,
and it wasn't the good group that starts out really good in heat 1, 2, and 3, and then starts watching the derby and they all disappear. Yeah. Heats 4, 5, 6, 7, and the rest of the show. They were there. They were on the money. They had a great system too. They were loading the track from turn 1.
Okay.
Instead of off turn 4.
Yep.
They're loading from turn 1 and towing them off towards turn 4, and they were just getting them off the track. And then after they were off the track, they were taking them back to the pits, which is a long haul back. It's a sizable racetrack that they're on. So, yeah, they did a great job getting the track cleared off, and they moved right through it. Mad Dog Awards were beautiful. Hanson Painting and Josh Buell worked together on those. They had some sponsors. Wall to Wall Auto was on those. B&B Lawn and Landscape, Catskill Fab and Performance. I know I'm missing a couple people, but everybody got to go home with one of those. It was great. And we got a couple of minutes left here. We got to get going. But Corey Relier was there, and Brett obviously was there. He got the win. Corey was there taking Mad Dogs for the fall show for a Mad Dog only heat. So Chad Winnie's in, and there was a couple other drivers that got those berths. So
and they had representatives at Bath watching them do the same thing as well.
Yep. So
I think that's a very neat idea. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
Getting all those maniacs together in one heat, and it's gonna be cool. That's gonna be at the Kings of Old School September 16th. So it's gonna be one to watch. Keep your eye on how that plays out. Before we get out of here, Junky, any final thoughts or anybody that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I got a few names to mention here. I mean, this for me, my career basically started with Paul Cox. Mm-hmm. He's always been willing just to send it. I get in there with him. If I'm not willing to drive at his level, I got to get out of it. And so, and then his wife Michelle, her and Dano, I think, are really the movers that got us even to that end of the state and put this whole thing together. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy Gully, the Tahoe held up. He had a good drivetrain. I didn't build the truck. I didn't do anything to the truck. I mean, I did a couple little things to make sure I fit it and got used to it. But it says something about the build quality of the vehicle. And then like some of the other names I mentioned with Josh Decker putting that together. I just appreciate all these guys. I appreciate the warm welcome I got, and that's why I'm doing it. I really enjoy it. Makes it better. All these people working together.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while. Glad you had a good time in New York. Look forward to you making another trip out there, and we'll be back out in Utah at the end of July. Hopefully we can catch up.
Yep, upper state New York people are the tops in my book. I will be singing that for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
Glad you had a good time, man. Congratulations on the win. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. There goes Matt Wetzel, Junky, running with Paul Cox, coming away with one of the wins over there at the Spring Fling. Brian, man, if you look at the clock, we are already out of time. That's going to do it for us here on the Crash Course. We will be off next week. I'll be out of town, and so we'll be back in 2 weeks, and then we'll be gearing up for Midwest Smash Fest already, if you can believe it. It's right around the corner. So we'll catch up with everybody in 2 weeks. Appreciate all of our guests. We'll see you again soon. Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.